Today, we're going to be talking about 3 business credit cards and how you can get them with no hard inquiries. So I was recently approved for 3 Amex business credit cards, a Delta Sky Miles Reserve business credit card with a $15,000 limit, as well as 2 Amex business gold cards with a maximum buying power of $10,000 with a 0% APR promo for 6 months, effectively giving me access to $35,000. And I was able to do this without receiving one hard inquiry. So today I'm going to share exactly how I did that, how I was able to get approved, and by combining 2 methods, you should be able to do the exact same thing. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Before we begin, I want to disclose this is not financial advice and the results are based on my own personal experiences and your results may vary. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about American Express and their hard inquiries. So once you're an American Express customer, your initial application will consist of a pre-approval, a soft pull, followed by a hard pull. So in my own personal experience, I received 2 hard pulls, one for my American Express charge card and one for my American Express revolving credit card line. Now, American Express offers 2 different types of cards. One is called a charge card. The other is a revolving credit card, but they also do have prepaid and debit. That's just not going to pertain to the video for today. Now, a charge card is just like a credit card, but it allows you to make purchases without having a preset spending limit. Now, even though you don't have a preset limit, you don't have an unlimited credit line. Amex has something called spending power to help give card members peace of mind by confirming in advance if a charge can be approved. So for both the cards that I got, the 2 gold cards, the maximum buying power is $10,000 for each. As I use the card, that spending power will be increased, but I want to take advantage of that 0% APR promo. So for now, let's just say that each of the charge cards are $10,000 for ease of explanation. Now, a revolving credit card does have a preset limit and works like every traditional credit card. So you get your credit line, you know exactly how much that you can spend, and you cannot spend past that limit unless you receive a credit line increase. Back to the hard inquiries. Once you become an Amex card holder, you can take the initial hard pull and every subsequent application, at least in my experience, has been a soft pull for each additional credit card that I was approved for. I now have a total of 8 American Express business cards. 2 out of the 8 cards were a hard pull. Those were the first 2 cards that I ever applied for with American Express. Every card after that has been a constant soft pull for me. So that is a 75% average if we're looking at 2 out of 8. And I've confirmed many other data points from other American Express members that also have this exact same experience. However, there's also been data that points to people who have been a customer for years with multiple cards and they still get hard pulls. So again, you have to take this with a grain of salt. The only way to guarantee that you will not get a hard pull is to freeze all 3 credit bureaus before applying. All it takes is logging into each account, toggling the option to freeze. It's less than 2 minutes and you can freeze or unfreeze your credit reports. I do it all the time, and having your bureaus frozen is generally just a good practice anyway. Next, let's discuss the 2 in 90 rule limit. So American Express has a 2 in 90 rule limit. Card holders can only receive 2 new cards every 90 days. Now, this rule applies even if card holders follow the 1 in 5 rule, which limits applications to 1 card every 5 days. Now, you can typically only be approved for 2 revolving cards in a 90-day period. Charge cards are actually exempt from this. So in theory, you could open 2 business revolving credit cards and 3 or even more charge cards in a 6-day period. But like many things with Amex, if your profile and income is strong enough, it seems like some rules can be modified for you. Let's combine everything that we just discussed. If you're an existing member with American Express, you have a high chance of only receiving a soft pull for your approvals. Of course, no guarantees. Because of this, you can apply for a total of up to 5 American Express credit cards in a 6-day time frame, and you can apply for 2 revolving cards. And in theory, you can really apply for every single American Express charge card. So I did apply for a third one. As I was saying before, I applied for 2 golds. I applied for the plum. After I applied for the plum, I did get a review. So that card at the time of recording this video is still in review. I already have one Plum card, but I wanted a second one, and then I'll explain why once we get to the next part of this video. Now, I won't submit any more applications until that Plum one has finished processing. Reason being, if you submit any after that, they'll automatically be canceled because the current one is pending. So for me, I was limited to applying for the 1 Delta, getting approved, the 2 Gold, both getting approved, and then applying for a Plum card and that one going into review. So in total, I was actually able to apply for 4 cards. Now, if the 3rd charge card is approved, I will more than likely have access to around $45,000 with no hard inquiry. Reason why I'm saying that for most of you, or again, this is my personal experience, I've seen that for the spending power for a new charge card, you usually can spend up to $10,000, and then they don't let you go past that. Now, in my experience, once again, I've done this with all my charge cards. I use them frequently, and then that spending power can get increased to 20, 35. I've gone as high as 100,000 with my Amex Platinum. So just know that you can actually raise that the more you use the card. And as you guys already know, because I applied for business credit cards, these will not show up on my personal credit. So they will not affect my utilization. They won't affect my credit age, and the hard inquiries can be removed. So I don't have to worry about my credit score being impacted by doing all these applications. Now, I want to provide you with my strategy and how I'm going to use these cards. So I'm not recommending you do what I'm doing. I just want you to know that it's possible for you to apply for all of these business credit cards as long as your credit profile is, good and you have a good relationship with American Express. You're, of course, already a member. And even if you're not a business owner, you can do the same application as a sole proprietor using just your social, and you would still be able to repeat these exact same steps. Of course, that all depends on your credit profile. Now I have 2 Amex Gold cards. There's a 0% intro APR for 6 months from the date of account opening on purchases eligible for pay over time. And then it's going to be 18.49% to 27.49% variable APR. So this will give me access to at least $20,000, and $4,000 of this amount will be 0% APR. So I just want to clarify that for you guys. The entire amount that you spend on your Amex Gold cards with this promotion that's going on at the time of recording this video, you don't get 0% APR on everything. You get 0% APR on your pay over time limit. And for most of you, if you just have a brand new card, it's going to be $2,000. Now, in my experience, after 60 days, I can request a increase for the pay over time limit. And then once that happens, I could probably get access to 10, 15,000, something like that. Hopefully, I still have 4 months remaining on that 0% APR so I can truly maximize the spending power of these 2 cards. Now, I've done this with my Amex Platinum, and it had $100,000 in pay over time limit. It's easy for me to maintain this. I can shuffle a lot of funds around, and I also have a lot of cash, so I can pay these off very easily if need be. Now, the reason why I applied for the Amex Delta Reserve Business Card, it has a high credit limit. Although this doesn't really have any benefits that I'm going to actually use, I intend to transfer the credit line from this card in 61 days to my American Express Blue Business Card, raising that limit by around $12,000 and giving me access to 0% APR for at least another 4 months before that promotion expires. And then if I want to, I can apply for the Blue Plus card and then transfer the limit from that card over to the Blue Plus. That way I can take advantage of 0% APR with the higher limit. The Amex Delta has a very high annual fee of $650. In my experience with American Express, the higher the annual fee, the higher the limit usually is on the cards that you get that are revolving. So for this particular card, I assumed I would start off with a decent limit based off of the annual fee. Now, I don't know if that's actually true. That's just my assumption, but it does have a higher spend bonus. So I'm assuming that if you have a higher spend bonus, then they're going to give you more credit line in order to meet that. And last, we have the Amex Business Plum card. Now, I did a video review on this card. This is my favorite American Express card. In fact, more than likely by the end of, I would say like summertime, I will probably be consolidating all of my American Express cards to only 2 cards. the Amex Blue Plus that I get with 0% APR, and the Plum cards. I would keep 2 of them if I got 2 of them. The rest of them, I'm getting rid of them because honestly, the golds have a crazy annual fee. They don't give you back much in terms of points. Same thing with the Delta Reserve. Same thing with the Platinum. Honestly, those cards, I understand now why other YouTubers always talk about canceling, because you get a lot less for just something that's supposed to be seen as a status, which for me is completely worthless. So I'm not going to keep those cards. I will be getting rid of them, but I want to consolidate all of my credit line to a card that will have 0% APR, because for me, I can find tons of use out of that for business purposes in the next year. Now, when it comes to the Amex Plum, the reason why I love this card is because it has 0% APR for 60 days, and that is a built-in feature of the card. So here's my plan with this card. If you have 60 days to pay without interest, all you have to do is pay the minimum payment by the due date. I plan to combine this card with my current Plum card. So let's say I purchase something like inventory for Amazon. I'm just giving an example. I can purchase, let's say, $20,000 of inventory on this card, right? 0% APR for 60 days. And then I can take my other Plum card, liquidate that one to pay the other one. That frees up the balance on that one. And I can just keep doing that to shuffle the money around from one Plum card to the next Plum card. And pretty much I can keep shuffling that all around until I make my profit from that $20,000 and then just pay it back. So essentially, I can keep shuffling the same money back and forth between these 2 cards until I actually make my profit. So it's like an unlimited 0% APR balance. And of course, the more that I use it, the higher my limit will eventually be just by shuffling money around. So I see that as a great combination between both of these 2. And if you take higher limit credit cards and you move them to something like the Blue Cash with a 0% APR promo. This way you have an unlimited 0% APR, and you also can combine that with a very high credit limit on another 0% APR, just being able to maximize what you can do as far as business profit and making money without having to worry about the promotion expiring or things like that, at least for a good amount of time when it comes to the Blue Cash. And then, of course, when it comes to the American Express Plum, we can just keep moving the balance around. I mean, I might get a 3rd Plum card. I really do love this card. This is my favorite Amex card, and I think it's one of the most underrated because it barely ever gets talked about. But if you think about how great that feature is, you can really make a lot of money without being charged any interest using this card to maximize your profit. Here are some things that I want you to consider with everything that I mentioned. 1, the soft pulls are not always guaranteed, but here's the great thing. You freeze your credit. Worst case, they attempt to pull. No harm, no foul. Nothing changes. All right. Your limits can be slashed with American Express if you charge large amounts too quickly and you don't pay them back immediately. I can actually tell you that I charged $20,000, some odd dollars, somewhere around that on my Platinum card, and I did not pay it back right away. Because I did not do that, the next day they slashed my limit on that card to where it was no longer a charge card. They dropped the limit down to $5,000. Now, you can request that they change it back. They asked me to submit documentation, but for whatever reason, they didn't actually accept my bank statements when I sent them. So I'm not really sure why that happened, but I was told that the way that I can fix that is to just apply for a brand new Platinum card. So if I ever wanted to use the Platinum card again, which once again, I probably will not use it, I'm going to just take the credit line from it and then close it as I will with a lot of my other cards and just keep one American Express card with no annual fee and the Plum cards because I think that they're great with the $250 annual fee, especially if you get multiple of those cards. So if your application is also denied by American Express, it will cancel future applications for 30 days. So let's say you're like me, you apply for 4 cards. First application approved, second approved, third approved, but now you apply for a 4th card. Same thing might happen to you. They might do a review. At that point, any more applications you put in will be canceled. So if that happened with the 2nd card, any more that you put in will be canceled. You can't continue doing it after that. I think that that's all based off of financial review, how long you've been a member. I think it's a lot of things that are entailed with that. So I can't actually say what's going to happen for sure because, like I said, technically you could apply for 2 revolving credit cards and unlimited charge cards. You could apply for every Amex charge card if they allowed you to, and then 2 revolving in 90 days. But once again, whenever they go to actually review your applications, you have to stop at that point. They will cancel every single one going forward. So keep that in mind. Also, all of the strategies that I'm talking about only work if you have the capital to pay back the balances. So what I've learned with American Express is that you technically don't have an unlimited credit line, right? Like charge cards, of course, are not unlimited credit lines, but you don't have access to that spending power or that pay over time, because if you do spend over a certain amount, they will request that you pay it back. And if you don't pay it back, they will immediately slash your limits. So with that being said, you can't just use an Amex card as much as you want and just go crazy with the amounts, because if you don't have the money to pay it back when they ask you to pay it back, it's going to get slashed, and that will tell you what your true limit is. So basically with charge cards, your limit is based off of your frequency of spend. Not only is it your frequency of spend, I want to make note of this, it is the amount that you pay back. I recommend don't, like I mentioned this in a video where I was paying back small amounts. Don't do that. My platinum card got reduced to $5,000 because $5,000 was the highest balance that I paid back. Then on my plum card, I paid $15,000 on that, and that one is okay. So again, all of this may not mean anything whatsoever. I'm just giving you my experience and what I've seen. But when it comes to Amex cards, everything is about pattern. When you get a charge card, the reason why they're willing to give you an unlimited amount of charge cards is because it's based off of how you spend. Basically, it's like no limit really at all. Like it's not even like a $10,000 limit. It's more like you can use this, and if you spend $2,000, we don't like that, we're gonna ask you to pay it, and if you don't, we're gonna put it to $500. That's how it is. So just so you understand how that can work, it's all based off of an algorithm. So you have to be careful about how you use these, but if you have the money to pay them back, that is the only way that this strategy will work for the average person. So if you are doing this and you do not have the money to pay back immediately if Amex asked you to, this will not work for you. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. You'll have to make larger transactions, and you'll have to be able to pay them back in order to show a pattern of high spend and high pay. That's the only way that this will actually work, and it's the only way that this will be effective. Now, with that being said, if you're comfortable with high spend and you're comfortable with paying that back at the drop of a dime, then you're going to be fine, and this will work for you. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Once again, I hope this information was valuable to you. I hope that maybe it sparked an idea of how you can use American Express credit cards in order to maybe fund a project or make some money or profit in some way, form, or fashion. And also, once again, if you don't have a business, that is okay. You can apply for these cards as a sole proprietor using your social. So this will pretty much work for anybody who's already an American Express member. And if you are currently not a member of American Express, you will have that initial hard pull. For me, it was 2, one for the revolving, one for the charge. I've seen people that said that it was only 1 hard pull. Everything else for them was a soft. I'm not sure if they applied for both on the same day, but that's what my experience was. Either way, use the information and take everything with a grain of salt. But again, hopefully you learned something that will help you make money. Thank you so much for watching this video, and you have a wonderful day.